She looks at you and she says, "No thanks, I'm good. You're not really my type." Can you just imagine what that would do for your fucking psyche? I mean, like, looks maxing is the latest, very viral, very hilarious social media phenomenon that comes at the intersection of a lot of niche male interests, relatively niche male interests. And what looks maxing is essentially, you know, like a subculture of men, typically young men, who are performing very unhealthy, very risky things to try and, at any cost, look better. This includes things like bone smashing, where they will try and induce microfractures in their jaw by hitting their head with a hammer in order to have a more masculine jaw, or things like, you know, like taking Chinese peptides in order to make their body composition look more attractive. Obviously, this is very controversial. There's a lot of people who think that this is weird, this is a regression, men shouldn't be doing this, it's unhealthy, and a generation of people raised on social media who care nothing about who care about nothing but vanity metrics. This is the end result, and, you know, like, all they're gonna do is like fucking like peacock in front of a mirror instead of doing things that actually contribute to society. My take: I have no idea why it's so controversial. In fact, I think that the first most immediate sign that someone is low IQ or does not actually reason about the world in their own thoughts is if their first immediate impression of hearing about looks maxing is to meet it with derision and disrespect and disdain. I don't like this. My gut feeling says says not to like this, because so I'm not gonna like this. There has been no successful person I've ever met who lives life according to what they think they should do. Every single successful person whose life I envy, who has done something great, who has accomplished something worthy of my respect, has at one point realized, hey, the world thinks this, and this thing is this thing is probably closer to the truth. The world is telling me to go to college, the world is telling me to finish high school, but I actually think I have a burning desire to do this, and this will probably help my life a lot more. The world is telling me to go into this industry, but I actually think this industry is up and coming, and although it might be a little bit more risky, I'm going to take that leap because I'm not going to blindly listen to the world around me, and I'm gonna do my own thing. And that is a trait that is unique to successful people, or perhaps not unique, but entirely encompassing of all successful people. If you are successful, you have this trait. And when someone hears something like looks maxing, and their immediate thought of, you know, like, these young men are rigidly and at every turn opportunistically trying to become more handsome no matter the cost, and just thinks that's ridiculous, I think that is a sign of low IQ. Of course, this is a bit of a biased take. I myself am something of a looks maxer. I'm Korean. It's pretty deep in our society. In fact, for Koreans, when you tell someone that they did a good job at something, the compliment that you will say is, "Oh, 예뻐." You know, like, "Oh, 예쁘다." And what that means in English is, "Wow, you're pretty," or like, "Wow, that's pretty." So literally the compliment, the adjective used to describe goodness is of prettiness. That should come as no surprise to most of you watching. Korea is like notorious for being a lookist country, but I myself have gone through the ringer, you know. I myself have done the rounds of Chinese peptides. I myself have had the nose job when I was 18. I got LASIK, I got my fucking eyebrows tattooed, and I've done all these things. And, you know, I can only speak positively about my experiences looks maxing. When I was 14, I was a chud. I was fat, I had no girls. For some reason, none of the girls liked me. They all liked my best friend, who was a soccer player. So for some reason that I couldn't understand at the time, I had no motion. And then I figured out later, the reason why I'm getting no play, no motion, and no girls like me is because, among other things, I don't look good. I'm fat, I'm a chud. That started my period of ascension. Admittedly, I've never been as bad down the depths of chuddom as some of these, like, you know, like, obese Americans, but I experienced what it was like to be relatively unattractive, and I experienced what it was like to be less unattractive. And I can tell you, it's just a night and day difference. In fact, in my entire life, I don't actually think I've ever done anything, including making all this money from software. I've literally never done anything that so meaningfully affected my quality of life as becoming more attractive. Now that I generally say it out loud, like, it's shocking. Like, genuinely, I've come to make a bunch of money, and I've come to become very famous, and, well, relatively famous in the tech scene. Still, there is literally nothing that affected my day-to-day more than literally just going from unattractive to not unattractive. To have this opportunity is available to literally everybody. Anybody can achieve this. I think there seems to be some, you know, like, society-wide mismatch between an understanding of the world 20 years ago and an understanding of what the world is right now. A lot of the lashback on lookism comes from older men. Like, a lot of times comes from older men who think, you know, like, as a man, you shouldn't really be spending all your time worried about this. You should be spending all your time worried about, like, other things. How to make money, how to make more friends. But the world has kind of changed, you know. I think we all agree that there is a there's a class of things, you know, like dating apps make people a lot more visual first. Instagram, social media make it such that your first impression when meeting anybody is almost always not what the things they're saying, like the face-to-face impression of them at a coffee shop. It's almost always just like what they look like. And the world has become more vain, you know. As women become more employed, increasingly become financially independent, good for them. It's resulted in men no longer needing to provide resources as much. You know, like you don't need to marry a guy to survive out there as a woman anymore. You're not in the desperate situation of having to marry to survive. And as a result, now women want a lot of the same benefits that men had prior wanted of women. You know, like now women want a guy who's handsome. They don't want to wake up to a fat husband. So yeah, looks are happening to matter a lot more in society. And me personally, I can speak to my personal experience only, but I've literally never experienced as big of a jump in my quality of life as I have when I went from unattractive to less unattractive. Now, let me give my full-fledged case on lookism writ large. There is in human society, before all looks maxing and all incels and all these little subgroups of people came about, there has been a group of people who were the original looks maxers. These people discovered very early on that the way that I look directly affects the amount of resources that I can get from society, the advantages. It'll give me way more advantages, way more access to a bunch of things, and I can just live a better life if I look better. And they've discovered that it is actually in my best interest to do all sorts of crazy things to make me look better. In fact, this group of people will spend up to 1 to 2 hours every single morning before even leaving outside to be seen by the world around them, putting shit on the face. And of course, this group is women. Women are the original looks maxers. Women are the people who literally millennia ago discovered that, hey, if I put this shadowy ink on my eye, like it will make men want to fuck me more, which will make them give me more stuff and make me live a better life. And then now, like in today's world, I mean, who do you think are the biggest customers of plastic surgeries? Is it the looks maxers and incels who are just tapping into this? Like, no, it's like the vast majority of it is women. Who do you think coined what a BBL is? Who do you think forced that into existence? Forced these crazy health surgeries and procedures in order to look better? I mean, it's all women. And the interesting thing here is when you actually hear a woman talk to another woman, like specifically amongst each other about the surgeries and procedures that they've done, there's actually little to almost no judgment. When you hear, like, just really try and picture this example. A woman, a 30-year-old woman comes to another 30-year-old woman and says, hey, I got Botox to get rid of my wrinkles. That is probably one of the most normal social interactions ever. There's literally going to be 100, almost a guarantee there's going to be no negative response from the other women. There's, of course, you know, like, great, you go queen, like, slay, like, you did the thing, you worked to improve yourself, like, great for you. This is societally accepted. And now when men are employing similar things to, like, via looks maxing and employing similar procedures via injections or whatever to make themselves look better, now immediately society is meeting them with extreme derision, like extreme negativity. And I just think it's very ridiculous that we have this extremely open double standard among men and women, where men are now waking up to the realization that looks actually matter in the world, just like women did like tens of thousands of years ago. And now that they're actually trying to employ a fraction of the measures that women have been for literally hundreds of years surgically, now they're met with all this backlash, which I guess begs the question. I mean, does it actually matter? Do looks actually matter in society? And to that, I think the obvious answer here is yes. A lot of the pushback about lookism comes from these 40-year-old, 50-year-old, like these older men who have lived in a different time where, you know, all you have to do is just make money, just go to college, get a job, and eventually you can afford like a family of 8 and you can get fucking like 14 cars or whatever. But nowadays the world has changed. I mean, I think we all realize like social media universalizes access and visuals, and your first impression of someone is almost never going to be when you meet them face to face at a coffee shop. It's usually going to be when they see you on Instagram, and dating apps have made everyone more superficial. And there's a whole ecosystem of things designed to make us more superficial. Also, like as women get more jobs and become more employed, which is definitely a good thing, men now no longer hold the keys to resource acquisition. So it's like, what does a woman gain out of, like, genuinely, what does a woman get out of being with a man? It's not like she's gonna get much more money. The man's not gonna make a lot more money than her. What is she gonna get? All the advantages that men had before have disappeared from society today. The only advantage, like one, and now that things have sort of normalized, like women are sort of seeking the same sort of things that men have been seeking from women, which is, I'd rather wake up to a pretty face than an ugly face. I'd rather not wake up to an ugly husband because I can make my own money, which is great. Great for women. But it has resulted in a society where actually now looks do matter for men way more than they used to. So looks do matter. Women have been looks maxers, and a lot of the societal judgment is sort of ridiculous. I encourage everyone viewing to try and take an open mind now. You know, like, suppose we can accept that looks do matter. There's a gigantic portion of society, over 50% of society has already been looks maxing. Why should you yourself consider looking into looks maxing? I mean, in my opinion, I think it's the most clear thing ever is that life is very hard. Everyone unanimously agrees in life you have very few advantages. There's very few opportunities that you will have to make a lot of money or to succeed or whatever. And you will have a lot of disadvantages. In fact, most people, just, you know, like 50% of people are genetically disadvantaged. I think if you pursue life with a lens, if you view life with a lens of opportunism, always trying to look for the next thing that can, you know, like change your life, the next win that you could achieve, you will find that it is always in your best interest to double down on the things that you're good at and try to cover your bases on the things that you're bad at. In life, you have so few natural advantages that when the opportunity comes that you can quickly patch one of your disadvantages for the price of social judgment, you should not hesitate even 1 second to pursue that. If the only cost of you getting some surgery, injecting something is pure societal judgment, then do not fucking hesitate. Just fucking do the thing if you know that it will help you. Because if you don't, and if you don't view the world in that way in every single instance, then you will not view the world in that way in any instance. How you do one thing and how you perceive one situation is how you will perceive all of them. And if you are opportunistically trying to become more handsome, then you'll opportunistically try to become more rich, more healthy, more fit, whatever it is, and you'll actually end up doing a lot better in life. So seek the opportunities that come. And if the only downside, if the only cost is social judgment, then pay it up immediately. I will also bring up a point that might not be so palatable, but it comes with some optimism. The point is that nearly every physical insecurity that exists in the world is addressable. There is an opportunity cost of not fixing these insecurities, and the opportunity cost is that they are living in your head rent-free. Like you are always thinking about these insecurities. If you hate the way that your nose looks, the opportunity cost of you not getting a nose job is you spending the next however many long years of your life worrying about the shape of your nose. And you might think like, you know what, I can just go to therapy, I can just, you know, like mentally recover and like get used to shaping my nose. But the cruel reality is that sometimes it might just be the case that you have an ugly nose and society will not reward you. In fact, society will punish you heavily because your nose looks so weird. And as a more concrete, clear example, being fat, you know, if you are literally like over 300 pounds, that is going to be a huge physical insecurity and is also going to be a massive drag on your health. And you might balk and hesitate to inject something because you think, oh my God, like I don't even know how healthy this is. I don't even know how unhealthy this is. The opportunity cost of every single day that you're not injecting something new, which like by all means could be unhealthy, the opportunity cost of that is the extra days that you will spend with literally an extra 150 pounds of load on your arteries. And every single day you're waking up with rolling the dice on, am I going to get a heart attack today and fucking die? You're also experiencing all the social judgment from people when you walk around, like you walk around fat, like you think it's really not just in your head when you walk around fat and people look at you with disgust. Like that is genuinely not an insecurity that is in your head. That is a true, genuine society punishing you for not fitting the mold or like achieving success, achieving the average, the bare minimum in this field of physicality. And that's the cold hard truth of it, is that some of these things, some of these insecurities that people have in their head, if you're 5'3" as a man, there's almost no amount of training or psyoping or brainwashing you can do to convince yourself that society is not punishing you. Because the unfortunate reality is that it is. When you go out to literally buy a box of donuts, and you feel this gut feeling of despair when you see a group of attractive women that you would like to fuck but you can't, or you'd like to date but you can't, like that feeling of despair is not a incorrect feeling. It's not just a, hey, keep shooting more shots, man. It's realistically, they're not going to want you to approach them. They will laugh at you, and it's like genuinely that is how the world will punish you for having this genetic disadvantage. The good thing, the optimistic thing, is that this is solvable. And if you are in that world, and you honestly know better than I do, because some very short men crush it, you know, like if you really are rich, if you really are like doing well in life, then like sure, like there's ways that you can compensate. But truthfully, the answer might sometimes be the opportunity cost of not getting that surgery is much, much higher than the opportunity cost of just going to Turkey, getting your legs cut, and getting the limb lengthening surgery. Because every single day that you're not doing that, you know, like your legs might be in a better condition, whatever it is, but you genuinely do suffer the real world consequences of being very short in a society that doesn't reward that. That just punishes that super heavily. The decision is for everyone to decide on their own, but really consider, is that worth it? Because, you know, for many, many people, it's not. You should just go get limb lengthening surgery for a lot of people. For a lot of people, you should just go hop on steroids. For a lot of people, you should just get the nose job. Because oftentimes, you know, it's like the cold reality is sometimes your insecurities are not just in your head, they're in the real world. So when you can fix something, you should. Let me address a pretty common rebuttal to the whole looks maxing philosophy. And that argument is, looks maxing, all it will ever do to your life as a man is maybe make you a little bit better with women. And you know, like there's so much to do in your life as a man. Like there's so much money to make, so many businesses to conquer, so many friends to make, that why are you so hyper fixated on looking good to women? That's kind of gay. And to that, I would say, let's suppose in some fucking magical universe where things don't affect other things, that all that ever happened was you became better with women as a result of looks maxing vigorously, you know? Try and picture this. It's a Saturday night, you and your boys are a little bit tipsy, had a couple shots, you're at a bar and you see this beautiful woman, she's just your type, you've been on this dry run for so long, and you see her and she's so beautiful, you think, wow, holy fuck, I might be the alcohol talking, but this looks like the mother of my kids. You walk up to her, excuse me, let a little stutter out, and you say, hey, can I buy you a drink, ma'am? And she looks at you and she says, no thanks, I'm good. You're not really my type. Can you just imagine what that would do for your fucking psyche? I mean, like, of course it is the case that you will experience rejection all your life, and one of the core principles as a man is to learn to tolerate rejection. But I mean, imagine that happens not just one time, it happens literally every single time you ever approach a woman. What do you think that would do to you? When you go to work on Monday, like, what do you think you would feel? Do you think you would feel particularly inspired to beat out your other coworkers, to hit new numbers and to dominate because, you know, like, hey, that rejection really fueled me? Like, no, in fact, science really proves this. Like, there's almost no sudden spike in testosterone that you can ever achieve as a man that equates to that of, you know, like successfully talking to a woman. And now imagine the flip side. Imagine that you go and on Saturdays, like, you know, like maybe you get a couple rejections, but 1 in 3 girls is actually like, yeah, sure, I'd love a drink. Imagine that. Imagine how you would feel walking in on Monday. I'm the fucking man, right? Like, I won. I'm the big dog now. How motivated would you be to hit your numbers? You know, like, you got a taste of what it is like to be accepted. It is the most core primal biological need of all people to pass on their genes to the next species. That is literally the underwriting rule of our DNA. And to be acknowledged by a woman, you are one of few men who I have deemed possible, you know, like worthy of passing your genes on to the next generation. That feeling is literally what our dopamine circuits and dopamine reward system was. It was literally designed to promote that very thing. How could you not possibly be more motivated to hit the gym, to keep on tasting that win? And how could you even remember the taste if it has been too long since you've gotten it? If all you've ever experienced was rejection from women over and over and over again, how could you ever be inspired and motivated to try and, like, be better for women? So even if it was the case in some imaginary universe where, you know, like, being more attractive didn't actually help you in your job at all, and all it did was literally just help you become a little bit more attractive to women, still, even that minutia, the downstream effects of that will spread, because what is downstream from women is literally everything. But of course, that's not actually the case. It's not actually the case that women are going to be the only thing for which looks maxing helps. In fact, every single study in the world shows that when you are more attractive people, they earn more, they are happier, they are healthier, and they do things better. And, like, their lives are literally just better. It is literally better to live the life of an attractive person. When you are faced with all these statistics that there's literally not one sector of life that becomes worse the more attractive you get, it becomes very foolish not to optimize for, you know, very easily becoming more attractive. And I will say this throughout the entire video, and I'll say this again and again. If the only cost of improving your looks is that of social judgment, then take the cost. That cost is free. And for many of these things, it is relatively free. My final piece will be probably the most controversial one, but one that I deeply, deeply believe to be true. And this is the case for looks maxing as a form of patriotism. Let me explain. South Korea is probably, in terms of soft power, one of the most powerful countries in the entire world. By soft power, I mean like what people perceive of South Korea, how people perceive it. You know, people perceive it to be cool. It's pretty cool. Korean things are cool. Everyone wants to do a Korea summer trip. And the reason that there's this whole Hallyu wave and like Korea has such global dominance culturally, the reason why there's Nigerians and Brazilian girls who literally fucking watch K-pop all day, the reason for that is singular. And that reason is Korean people are attractive. As a direct result of a society that rewards and deeply, deeply punishes people who are unattractive and deeply rewards people who are attractive, Korean outliers are extremely attractive. So when you take the most attractive out of this bunch of people who are obsessed about looks, then those people are going to be ridiculously fucking attractive. Very handsome, very pretty people. And I want you to calmly rationalize and genuinely try to come up with another reason for why K-pop, you know, like Korea would have blown up to the degree that it did. It's not like we're the only ones doing funny comedy shows or like have interesting music videos. We're certainly not. In fact, every Asian country is doing that. We're not the only ones who have East Asian Oriental characteristics, and the music isn't even particularly much better. So what exactly was it that made K-pop just fucking like spark into this global wildfire? And I'll tell you again, truly, like no matter how much you think about it, the reason it will be that because Korean people are attractive. And there's something a little bit more heinous about this behind the scenes when you really dig into it. Online, on social media, when you sort of like even try to come at some of these K-pop groups, what you'll be met with an army of supporters, you know, like fans, like army. Now, what makes a 13-year-old girl, because typically the fans are like, you know, like younger women, what makes a 13-year-old girl support this BTS, someone from BTS, with all her life? I mean, these people are designed. There's literally agencies structured such that they're never giving a single political take ever. You don't know any takes about them. You only know this very, very carefully crafted, very, very meticulously hidden figure that they choose to present online. In fact, there's really not much you know about them at all. But despite that, if you even consider calling one of them, like perhaps like a conservative, like God forbid, there will be an army of women, of young girls who come at you and say, no, my little baby is not like that. He would never. How is that possibly the case? What do these girls know about these guys? I mean, sure, like granted, they're very young, they have no idea about the world, but still, what makes them instinctively jump to their defense? And again, I will say that the only reason this is ever happening is because these men are handsome. These women are pretty. So they want to naturally defend that which is attractive. Because things are attractive not for no reason. They're attractive because, you know, like attraction signals, you know, like all the things that have signaled dominance in a society before. Like these men deserve to, like these women are begging for these men to reproduce with them. It's weird. But either way, like these men are self-selected to the fucking extreme. They deserve, purely by merit of the way that they look, they deserve to be defended. They deserve their moral character to be defended. Think about how fucking crazy that is. I am a good person, not because I'm a good person, but because I'm handsome. And that is literally what you will see the second you try to write any sort of hate comment about anything at all regarding these K-pop people. When you sort of think about this and extrapolate this, I mean a little further, I truly believe this. I truly believe this to be true. Let's sort of apply that analogy to America. What the rest of the world understands of America is not that we're particularly attractive, you know, like maybe we're innovative, but the physicality-wise, like what they think about America is that Americans are fat. They think Americans are fat and lazy. Well, a little fat more so than lazy, but like the typical American is some fucking fat slob chud. The only reason why America is the global superpower that it is, the only reason why the US dollar, despite our economy being trillions of dollars in debt, still is able to be the global currency hegemon that everyone respects, the only reason is because of American soft power. People respect America. People think our economy will last because Americans are tough. China is not going to invade Taiwan because, you know, like despite all of us having nukes and all of us singularly being capable, like they're like 7 countries at this point, being singularly capable of causing human extinction with their nukes. Despite that, China is still not going to invade Taiwan because, you know, like America's tough. Like I gotta respect America. Russia won't invade the Baltics because America's tough. So pretty much all of human civilization as we know it rests on the singular, very narrow piece of American soft power being strong. People think America is tough. What happens when Americans continue to be the fattest country ever for another 10, 20 years? Do you think America will still be tough? Maybe, but maybe not. These small things matter. And the point that I'm making about countries and the civilizations that we live in applies almost directly to you as an individual, because it is the individuals that make up a country and the country's perception. And even within an individual, it is the small things that make up the rest of the individual. Almost everything is connected. And the better your life as an individual is, the better the society that you're in will be perceived. how you do one thing is pretty much how you do everything. And as a country, if you want to live, if you want to be healthy and be cool and be tough, you should focus on doing those things, doing very small things well as well. In America right now, we're fat. Like, you all are fat. I'm not fat. If we continue to be fat for this long, then maybe there comes a day where America might lose soft power. And maybe that will be the end of human society. Human society could die because Americans did not look smacks enough. This sounds ridiculous, perhaps on surface value, maybe sounds ridiculous, but genuinely give that a thought. Ask yourself, how did Korea become so cool? And what could happen if America stops doing the thing that made Korea so cool? And I will leave it at that. This was my case on looks maxing, my thoughts on it. Bit of a weird episode, but I'll be back next week. As always, I encourage you all to broaden your horizons. Don't accept the world for what it is, and take big risks. You never know what's out there for you to win. This is the Roy Lee Talk Show, episode 3, 4. Thanks for watching. See you guys next time.